All right, guys, I just got done unboxing my blade sharpener. This is the Amazon knockoff version, so I think I paid about 70 bucks for it. And I was gonna get it mounted on my roller bench here. And I thought just for today, I was gonna get this clamp, this large vice grip, and just mount it to my bench here and see how it works and find my final position. I might put a couple bolts here in the top and mount it permanently, but for now, we're just gonna clamp it and use it tonight. So I'm gonna set it up and we'll see how it works. All right, so now the jig is mounted to my bench and it's assembled, ready to go. The jig did not come with instructions in the box, they were missing, but it's pretty straightforward and intuitive. And I guess my thought is, if you can't figure this out, you probably have no business sharpening a mower blade, just saying. As far as my angle grinder, I've got several of these from Harbor Freight. These are about 15 bucks a piece, so I keep several around. And instead of changing out the wheels, I usually just have several grinders around. This is a flap disc and 120 grit, so maybe not quite as aggressive as I like, but in this case, it does put a nice fine edge on a mower blade. If I have nicks or some pretty good deep gouges in a blade, I might go with a grinding wheel first and then put on the final polish with a flat disc. So I'm gonna try it out on this mower blade here, which is already kind of sharpened. It was sitting on my shelf since last year, so it's got a little rust on it. But I'll polish it up, see how it goes. Okay, here is the first blade out of the jig. And I'm really impressed with how simple this is. You can see this is another blade that I sharpened last year, so it's got a little surface rust on it from sitting on the shelf. But you can see the difference in angle. So 35 degrees here on the jig, and this is a lot steeper angle. I think that's probably the biggest benefit of this jig, is that it gives you a nice consistent angle, and by freehanding, you've got the risk of twisting as you're going, or if there's a gouge or a nick like in this blade, and you have to take quite a bit more material off, it's just gonna make it much more consistent as you continue to make multiple passes over the blade. So I think that's the biggest benefit, again, that I've seen with this jig, is that it just makes it a little easier and takes the guesswork and the eyeballing out of the equation. So I do sharpen quite a few blades, so this way it's not such a big chore. So I know that there's dozens of videos out there on demonstrations, but wanted to record my personal experience with this jig, and I will say I'm really impressed, and hopefully it speeds up my process, makes it a little more efficient, and just much more quality in my blade sharpening. Okay, so I just wanted to point out that I'm sitting at a 35-degree angle, and one thing I'm noticing right away, and the benefit of a jig like this, is that you can see I've polished or sharpened this blade to a point where the angle that I was free-handing was certainly not 35 degrees. So definitely the benefit of a jig is to get consistent angles and nice sharp blades every time, and not using the eyeball to get the angle right.